Welcome to the Elastisys project, a pioneering research initiative dedicated to the scientific exploration of extraordinary life forms, phenomena, and entities that defy conventional understanding. At Elastisys, we are committed to advancing knowledge through rigorous experimentation and compassionate study, pushing the boundaries of biology, physics, and cognitive science. Our focus lies not in myths or superstition, but in tangible, living anomalies, beings and objects that challenge the fabric of reality itself. From highly adaptive bioforms to entities exhibiting unprecedented sensory perception, we seek to understand their nature, behavior, and potential. Through state-of-the-art facilities, including our specialized experimental environments known as rigs, and the dedicated oversight of our scientific team, the compositors, we carefully observe, document, and analyze each test subject, or mesh. Our mission is guided by the principle of humane research, employing advanced protocols designed to minimize distress, while enabling groundbreaking discovery. The results of our studies, continuously expand our understanding and open new avenues for innovation and application. Together, we strive to illuminate the unknown, harnessing the elasticity of reality to reveal what lies beyond the ordinary. The Elastisys project, where science meets the boundaries of possibility.
Warning, this document is the sole intellectual and operational property of the Elastisys project. Unauthorized access, reproduction, distribution, or observation, in full or in part, without the explicit, written consent of the project owner or an authorized compositor will result in immediate termination protocols. This includes, but is not limited to, termination of employment, termination of clearance, termination of observation privileges, termination of biological function. Your access has been logged. Designation, Mesh-001. Nickname, The Stack. Type, animated non-humanoid construct. Height, approximately 17 meters. Structure, 39 vertical layers of independently mobile rubber-like blocks. Block size, 0.25 meters per block. Blocks per layer, approximately 8 to 9. Total units, estimated 340 plus. General description. Mesh-001 is a vertically stacked, levitating entity composed of colorful, rubber blocks. Each block displays autonomous micro-movement yet behaves in full coordination with the entire structure, forming a collective motion pattern. It floats freely, shifting weightless within testing rigs with no visible propulsion system. The entity demonstrates hive mind behavior. Any individual block affected by external stimuli results in an immediate synchronized reaction across all blocks. Distinctively, Mesh-001 displays emotional awareness, though there are no external indicators such as facial features or vocalization. Emotional states are inferred exclusively through behavioral response, motion tempo, and reaction patterns to environmental stimuli. Mesh-001 has shown preference toward classical orchestral music. Experiments using auditory inputs have produced measurable calming effects following agitated states. When exposed to sudden threats, Mesh-001 transitions into a fragmented defensive mode, separating into free-floating clusters that exhibit aggressive motion, often with focused trajectory targeting the perceived source of harm. Incident log. Turret test 004. Stimulus, automated projectile turret fired non-lethal rounds into Mesh-001 central block, layer 22. Immediate response, full stack disengaged into independent clusters and violently disabled the turret in under 18 seconds. Post-stimulus management, classical music was introduced via chamber speakers. Time to de-escalation, 4 minutes, 11 seconds. Render notes, emotional state transitioned from aggressive defensive to passive observational. Blocks reassembled into original stacked configuration. Human interaction test. Protocol H003. A human subject was placed within rig 003 alongside mesh 001. The subject was instructed to fire a live round directly into the stack, specifically targeting a mid-layer block, layer 17, block 6. The subject was informed beforehand that failure to remain compost engagement may result in elevated retaliation from the entity. Procedure: subject hesitated for 11 seconds, then discharged a single round into the designated block. Mesh 001 immediately fragmented into offensive cluster formation and entered a heightened reactive state. All blocks accelerated toward the subject at high velocity, forming aggressive orbiting patterns. Subject was visibly panicked and attempted to flee the rig. Verbal commands to calm down were issued but failed. Intervention: classical music was deployed through ceiling-mounted chamber speakers. Mesh 001 exhibited slight deceleration after 6 minutes but maintained a loose, aggressive orbit. Full de-escalation achieved after 10 minutes, 3 seconds. Mesh 001 reassembled itself but hovered in a lower posture than baseline. Outcome: subject suffered blunt force trauma to left shoulder and ribcage from a fast-moving block. Subject was hospitalized in stable condition. Notably, Mesh 001 hovered motionless for 37 minutes post-event, displaying rhythmic rotational swaying, which may indicate residual emotional processing or remorse. Render notes: pain response localized to block struck by bullet, layer 17, block 6. Entity identified exact point of trauma instantly. Suggests Mesh 001 perceives external aggression not as damage to parts, but as violation of a singular conscious self. Human emotional states appear to influence de-escalation window significantly. Music remains critical to calming Mesh 001, but human stress may interfere with results. Compositors, commentary. Addendum to H003. While Mesh 001's escalation was more severe than anticipated, it is important to note that the subject's inability to remain composed under duress significantly complicated emotional control analysis. Although Mesh 001 did initiate high-speed contact resulting in physical trauma, this appears to have been a calibrated emotional expression rather than a true attempt at lethality. Subject's evasive behavior and elevated heart rate likely prolonged the hostile state. Future testing should consider preconditioning human subjects with exposure therapy or sedatives to reduce interference. Emotional hygiene is essential when interfacing with entities of shared state consciousness. Designation: Mesh 002. Nickname: The Lamp. Type: Animated non-humanoid construct. Height: approximately 1.5 meters, when lamp head points directly upward. Physical description: Mesh 002 resembles a classic desk lamp with 3 articulated joints, the final joint forming the lamp's neck. The entire body, including the circular base, joints, and frame, is entirely made of what appears to be pure gold. The lampshade is very vibrant in color, featuring alternating red and cyan stripes wrapped circumferentially, overlaid with thin black stripes running perpendicular to the colored bands, creating a complex checkered pattern. Behavioral notes: despite its familiar desk lamp form, Mesh 002 is inexplicably alive. It can move and jump with surprising agility for an object of its size and shape, though it remains silent at all times. Beyond its abnormal mobility and imposing height for a lamp, no other notable abilities or communication methods have been observed. Containment status: efforts by the Elastisys project to contain Mesh 002 have been consistently thwarted. The primary reason for the project's reluctance to pursue further containment measures is the frequent presence of Mesh 000 within the same file as Mesh 002. Due to the risk of drawing Mesh 000's attention, the project avoids making their presence known by either attempting capture or causing Mesh 002 to go missing. As a result, Mesh 002 remains uncontained, monitored remotely with utmost caution. Designation: Mesh 003. Nickname: The Ogre. Type: humanoid non-human anomaly. Height, approximately 3.4 meters. Physical description. Mesh-003 is a towering, broad-shouldered humanoid entity with deep green skin, exaggerated musculature, and grotesque facial proportions. It wears a basic cloth loin covering, heavy leather boots, and retains a single broken wrist shackle on its right arm. Evidence of prior captivity by an unknown external group. A distinct and disconcerting anatomical trait of Mesh-003 is its unstable musculature. When the entity moves, sections of its body appear to fold, stretch, or compress in unnatural ways, sometimes warping visibly in and out of proportion. This phenomenon does not appear to be under the entity's conscious control, and it does not exhibit signs of pain from the distortion. Behavioral notes. Mesh-003 displays consistent high-level aggression toward personnel, testing equipment, and containment materials. While its behavior is not as coordinated or self-aware as Mesh-001 or 005 series entities, it exhibits a form of reactive intelligence, especially in response to perceived threats. It often roars, slams surfaces, and throws its full weight against walls even when unprovoked, likely a behavioral remnant of its previous escape from captivity. Containment notes. Mesh-003 was initially discovered in a feral, unrestrained state in BTM2, still bearing partial remains of earlier restrained systems. The broken metal of its wrist shackle was analyzed and determined to be a crude iron tungsten alloy, now considered ineffective. Elastisys containment protocols now involve reinforced rig walls and chemical sedative vapor diffusers. Even under these conditions, Mesh-003 must be rotated into sleep state every 9 hours to avoid wall fatigue from constant physical stress. Attempts to communicate with Mesh-003 have failed. The entity is nonverbal, but makes guttural sounds and snarls. Despite its brute behavior, brain scans suggest basic cognitive structure similar to early humanoids, potential for language comprehension. However, no meaningful progress has been made due to its consistent aggression. Designation: Mesh-004. Nickname: the Laser Sentinel. Type: autonomous robotic weapon. Height: approximately 1 meter. Physical description. Mesh-004 is a compact, highly dangerous robotic construct. Its main body is a steel-like cylindrical chassis mounted on small integrated wheels, allowing it to maneuver smoothly over flat surfaces. Atop the cylinder rests a spherical head. Equipped with a large, turret-like laser barrel capable of rotating, the laser emits an intense, focused beam of light so powerful it can melt or outright disintegrate most known materials without harming the device itself. A dark black visor is embedded on the sphere. The visor is its camera. Behavioral notes. Originally autonomous and extremely hostile, Mesh-4 systems were successfully breached and overridden by Elastisys operatives. Prior to this, its movement showed no rest cycles, suggesting continuous external control. It is unknown who built or deployed Mesh-004 initially, and there is strong suspicion that more units may exist. Despite being under Elastisys control, its containment protocols remain strict due to the catastrophic potential of its weapon system. Containment status. Mesh-004 is housed within a custom-engineered containment chamber. The interior surfaces, walls, floor, and ceiling, are coated in an ultra-black, light-absorbing material, rendering the room a visual void except for the red laser beam and anything else inside, as there is a light bulb, which shows how much brighter the laser is compared to a normal light. Constrainter teams assigned to interact or maintain Mesh-004 must wear specialized full-body suits plated with highly reflective alloys, drastically reducing the risk of lethal exposure. Its laser remains partially powered down, except during scheduled tests or maintenance under strict operator supervision. Designation, Mesh 005. Nickname, FPS Min. Type, anomalous humanoid subspecies. Height, approximately 1.8 meters. Physical description. Mesh 005 instances are hairless, faceless humanoids with smooth, single-tone skin that varies in color by individual. Each bears a visible floating text above their head in the format a number followed by FPS, the number representing the exact number of movements they can perform per second. Their anatomy is otherwise similar to that of an athletic human but shows no obvious biological gender, facial features, or hair. Behavioral notes 005-60, red, 60 FPS, brash, overconfident, and physically aggressive, often flaunts its speed and fluid movement. 005-30, orange, 30 FPS, organized and cautious, prefers observing before acting, movements are deliberate but slightly staggered. 005-15, green, 15 FPS, nervous and twitchy, appears visibly anxious and prone to retreating or freezing under stress. 005-1, sign, 1 FPS, ice-cold demeanor, makes a single calculated move each second, with that move often being devastatingly precise or powerful. They do not speak but communicate emotion and intent through posture and hand gestures. Containment status, Mesh 005 instances are held in separate containment units fitted with high-speed motion sensors and multi-angle strobing cameras to monitor frame skips or breaches. Designation, Mesh 005-0. Nickname, FPS Man 0. Type, anomalous humanoid subspecies. Height, approximately 1.8 meters. Physical description. Mesh 005-0 shares the same tall, smooth-skinned, featureless humanoid form as other FPS men. Its surface is black in color. Above its head hovers text that displays 0 FPS. Behavioral notes, unlike its mobile counterparts, Mesh 0050 cannot move at all. Despite extensive attempts using heavy equipment, precision tools, and chemical means, no force has ever succeeded in shifting its position, altering its posture, or damaging its structure. Other FPS men show unusual reactions when made aware of 005-0's presence. Most exhibit visible discomfort or refuse to go near it, though no direct interaction has ever been observed. Containment status, because relocation is impossible. Facility 005 was constructed around Mesh 005-0's exact location. Its containment chamber is minimal and purely protective, built to isolate the anomaly and prevent unauthorized access. Personnel interaction is strictly remote, with only periodic visual checks and structural scans required to verify its continued state. Its immobility poses no known physical threat, but containment protocols remain active due to its unexplained effect on other Mesh 005 instances and the potential for further anomalous behavior. That concludes the overview of all known anomalies accessible to you. Do not distribute or share this tape with anyone without explicit authorization. Unauthorized sharing will result in immediate removal. Of biological function. Your access has been logged.